now, Control. Please welcome your moderator, Alanah Pearce.
O, i to chyba ta pani... Tak, ona jest świetna. Kocham ją, ona takie świetne wywiady robi.
Have you guys heard of Remedy? Does anyone like Max Payne? Alan Wake? I expected people to be very excited about that one. All right, I'm the least cool person on this panel, so let me introduce our fantastic guests. We have Courtney, who is playing the lead character of Control.
O, czyli ta laska, co się wciela w główną postać. No, podobna, nie ma co.
And we have Brooke, who is a narrative designer. She got called up? Yes. You didn't get that. So, what is Control all about?
Wow.
Just throwing you right in there.
Yeah, Control is a third-person action adventure game that is all about Jessie Faden, who has had a supernatural event happen in her childhood, and her brother went missing, was taken by the Federal Bureau of Control. So the game begins with her arriving at the oldest house, looking for answers to her past, and instead she finds the director of the bureau dead. She picks up his service weapon and becomes the director of the bureau. But
I wish that was how jobs
I know. I really
That'd be
wish,
great.
Yeah, wish you could just be selected like that. Like,
Amazing.
Yeah. So she has to work out what this role means for her, but in the midst of all this, the building has been taken over by a mysterious supernatural force called the Hiss. So
It's going to be a little bit spooky.
it's going to be a bit unsettling.
Okay.
Yeah.
And for anyone who doesn't already know, the game is coming out in summer, correct?
Yes, August 27.
All right. Well, we have a video to show you guys.
Great.
Can we roll that?
I got the hotline. I can make out what Trench is saying now.
Incredible. What did he say?
He talked about his management team. People who knew the Bureau's secrets. Your boss, Darling. Tomasi, but he's gone. The Hiss got him. Salvador?
He's the head of security.
And Marshall?
Helen Marshall is head of operations. She's tough, ex-CIA. She took her rangers and went to the research sector to secure the HRA production. She hasn't come back.
Someone who could help us. The other sectors. How do I get there?
It's impossible because of the internal lockdown. You can perform a directorial override to lift it, but that can only be done in the maintenance sector. Normally, you take the sector elevator down there. It connects all the sectors, but it won't work while the lockdown is in effect.
We already got past one lockdown. Maybe I can find a way.
Trochę mimika, mam wrażenie, jest nie do końca dobrze.
What's the context of that scene?
Ale zobaczymy.
Where are we in the game?
So basically, it's Jesse talking with Emily Pope and trying to kind of figure out what to do next. And basically, Jesse needs to get the management team back together, but she can't do that until she's lifted the internal lockdown within the oldest house. And to do that, she needs to go to the maintenance sector.
So how much or how many companions is Jessie going to have? Is she mostly solo, or is there a team of people helping her the whole way through the game?
As an overall thing, if I go back to when we revealed the game last year, we focused a lot on Jessie, who she is, and the place, and the threat to Hiss, what it does to the building, the humans who you fight against. And it initially came across as a very kind of a hostile place, obviously. And there's a lot of conflict and combat. And now that we're getting closer to release, we want to start showing the human side of Control. So there are other people actually in there that are friendly, that survived this strange event. And so there's a number of friendly NPCs that you can meet up. And the first one is actually Emily Pope. And she becomes quite quickly a friend with Jessie, and together they can start figuring this out. But as Jessie kind of dives deeper into the building, she will find from time to time a number of other interesting characters as well that will help you forward. And hopefully we'll see some of them really soon.
Well, let's talk about Jessie. Courtney, you can speak to this. What kind of character is she? What's she all about?
Jessie, she's all about finding the truth. You know, she's had a really rough past. A lot of people that don't necessarily believe in her, which has caused massive trust issues. So it's an internal battle as far as like whenever she does meet somebody, befriending people. But she really does need allies to figure out, the secrets in which she hopes to solve, even with her brother and finding out more answers. And, but obviously going through that internal struggle as well. She's super curious, and she loves the weird, because that's literally been her entire life, is just weird. And so she embraces it. And that's something that I really, really respect about her, is that, life in general is really weird, and a lot of times we run from it, but that's all Jessie really knows, and everyone around her has told her that she's crazy, and this is the first time stepping into this house where she actually feels at home. I'm here, I'm home, let's figure this out.
So obviously there's a lot of weird stuff going on. Would you say she's excited about it? Is she, when we play through it, are we going to feel like she really wants to experience everything? Like, is she as excited as players are going to be, basically, or is she a little more scared and timid?
I think there's a pendulum swing. I think, it's like, obviously she just was kind of dropped into this head, as a director, and it wasn't something that she knew anything about. She doesn't know what she's doing. But in the midst of all of that, yeah, she is excited because it's weird, and she's like, oh, cool, what is this? What am I capable of as this director? But at the same time, there's so many things that she doesn't know about. There's people she doesn't know. And so I think there's just a battle between it. And, but she does grow stronger, and you get to kind of experience that as the game goes on.
Yeah. I know, like, you guys are dancing around mysteries, and I'm like, how can I get you to tell me a secret?
I know. I'm like still being like, be careful, be careful, be careful. Don't ruin anything.
You haven't spoiled anything, unfortunately. I guess you alluded to there being like a big character arc there. Do you think it's going to be an emotional journey for players, as far as the narrative's concerned?
Yeah, definitely. I think too, with Jessie especially, because she's a closed down character a little bit too, she starts to open up and relate to the other characters, like Emily Pope especially. She trusts her a little bit more and tells her a little bit more about her past, which we will see very soon. And yeah, what are your thoughts on that? I mean,
are people going to be sad?
Are people going to be sad?
Basically the question. Are we going to be sad? Are we going to be happy? What are the reactions going to be when we're going through the campaign?
I feel like one of the goals is, at least for me, as I was playing Jessie, was to create an empathetic connection between who Jessie is and who the players are, because they're experiencing life as Jessie. And so that was something that was really important to me and to Sam and to all of us, to make sure that she was relatable. And she does go through some turmoil and some things that are, hard for her to deal with. So, I think that's the goal, is for the players to experience that with Jessie.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I would just add that what I really like about Jessie is that when she was outside of the Bureau, like the previous life that she was and is kind of a confident person. She, in a way, believes in herself, but still, with everything that she's seen and what she thinks she understands of the world, was different, what people kind of around her thought. She felt like an outsider. So once she comes to this place, as Courtney said, she kind of feels like coming home. And that gives her this kind of a newfound sense of confidence as well. And she is the director now of this massive organization, and she definitely demonstrates that kind of capacity or capability to do that job, actually. A huge part of the story is all about Jessie getting to grips to what it means to kind of do that work and take that role. And she kind of transitions from wanting to find out what happened to her brother towards kind of understanding what the Bureau does and what's at stake, like related to what's going on in the world and with these supernatural threats. She kind of gets attached and starts to understand the role of the Bureau and taking that role more and more seriously.
And taking more responsibility and becoming more of a leader as well. Yeah.
I can't imagine just suddenly waking up one day and you're a director, do it. It seems like it'd be a little bit tough.
Right.
I respect her.
Yeah, especially when you spent most of your life on your own.
Right.
Where you don't have anybody else, and all of a sudden, like, people are looking to you
You
because
have to
you're
be
the
a
head of
leader.
this place, and you're like,
To jest ciekawy plot, ja nie wiedziałem, o czym jest plot w tej grze, podoba mi się, cholera.
Major challenges.
I to wychodzi niedługo, to jest zajebiste.
not necessarily challenges. It was really interesting because I really wanted to do justice, bring everything I could to what everyone had created. You know, I'd worked with these guys before, and I just was so excited, and I wanted to, you know, bring to life this strong female woman female woman, redundant.
Strong female
She's a
woman.
strong female woman. And I wanted to make her human. It was more about, you know, really just digging deep and creating this story of what she went through and really flushing that out so that I could bring to life, you know, everything that I wanted to, which I would say if there was a challenge, it was just, you know, with games, you writing it as you go. And so, you know, I'd create this whole thing and then they'd be like, actually, you know, this is how this is now. And so I feel like that it was kind of run and gun in a lot of ways.
Yeah, and I know a lot of people don't realize how voices for video games are recorded, and I'm not sure if it was the same for you, but a lot of the time you don't even get to read the whole script. You just get put in a booth, and then you're told to read lines, and you don't really know what's going to end up happening, which can be pretty crazy.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, I would get there, and there were characters I didn't even know. I'm like, I don't know who this is. Who am I talking to? And then we go through a briefing of it, and I create it really quickly in my mind, and then...
Yeah, it's not easy.
No, and then the person's not there either. So then, you know, I would come back, you know, 3 weeks later, a couple months later, with that person had recorded everything, and then what I had recorded, it didn't really match. It wasn't a flowing, symbiotic, you know, relationship and a conversation and all this stuff. So I had to go back and, you know, make sure that it flushed out. It's like, okay, so now what do we create? Which is fun. I feel like I'm very thankful to be a part of that because it's like, you know, we're all working together and to create the best thing we possibly could. So.
Yeah, and I imagine it's really satisfying when you're in a booth and, you know, the team's telling you how to do a line read and you hear and you know it's right and it just sounds awesome and it sounds like the character and everyone's like, you've brought this character to life, we've finally done it. That must be an awesome feeling.
It's a great feeling from our end too, like when Courtney brings her performance to, you know, the words that we've written down.
Right.
It really adds a whole new dimension to it. And because the oldest house is a very strange place, that grounded character is really important for the player to be with. So Jesse's uncovering these things with the player as they go. And so her very human, grounded performance gives players that base to then leap into the mysterious and the unexplained. So I think that's really important too.
Just Remedy as a whole is very, very good at making iconic characters that are very relatable. Were there any specific inspirations for Jesse, or like how did you build the character?
So I remember when me and Sam were concepting the game and figuring out, you know, the oldest house and the bureau and all of that stuff, and we actually tackled the idea of who the protagonist is relatively late. But then it was probably one of the easiest decisions we had once it came up that Courtney could be a good option for this. And as you know, Courtney mentioned, we worked with her in Quantum Break. She was Beth Wilder, who had probably one of the most, let's say, complex arcs in that experience. And it was very tragic and so on, and we knew immediately that she is the perfect person for this. So it didn't necessarily go from a place of this is the character that we want and then let's find the right actress for that. It was more about Courtney is the right one and she'll kind of make that role work.
It's got to be a huge compliment.
Yeah, thank you very much.
They basically built a character around you. That's awesome. But I think that we're seeing some gameplay now.
Right.
How far through the game is this?
So this is mission 3.
Okay.
This is the maintenance sector. Like we said before, Jessie has to lift the internal lockdown, so she needs to go here. We saw a character before, Arti. He's the mysterious janitor of the oldest house, and he's given her some information about how to lift the lockdown. She needs to fix the coolant pumps and sort out the electricity.
Of course, we've all been there.
In the
Basic
building,
stuff.
yeah. And so down here she'll meet Security Chief Arish as well. One of the things we really wanted to showcase is the other characters who are in and around Jessie and in the oldest house itself. And here's him now.
Here we go.
Yeah.
Chief Arish, FBC Security. Shouldn't you be in a safe room?
They all have HRAs.
The lighting's really pretty.
We're on the same
I
side.
feel like it makes it extra spooky.
My name is
Thank
Jessie
you.
Faden.
Yeah.
I'm here to perform the directorial
our
override to
art
get the
team
lockdown
in
lifted.
general is
Yeah,
pretty
Chief
amazing.
Arish,
They put a
FBC
lot of
Security.
attention to the
Za
lighting.
głośno jest ten gameplay, nie słuchaj co oni mówią.
Even the sound, like the oldest house kind
It's
of
a pleasure.
sounds like it's moving all the time.
Let's skip the formalities, please.
I feel like this one specifically, they would have been able to be very, very creative.
Look, as
I imagine, you know, as we
Ale to, co tam, jakby, nie wiem dokąd teraz zmierzy temat i słabo słychać, także mogę chyba pogadać. Bardzo mi się podoba oświetlenie w tej grze i ono będzie ray tracingowane, także to będzie świetne.
Yeah.
Which is interesting because his
NSC?
like a resonance. They're a
Euro jargon.
sound-based
It's what we call the power plant.
kind of entity. So kind of being able to capture that in the environment. I think
Salvador head of
everyone's
security
done
asked
such
me
a
to
great
protect
job.
it in case of an attack.
And I
So
know
what's inside
this is such a cliche, but it seems very fitting for this
Dr.
game
Darling seemed
that
to know what we targeted.
the setting is almost a
Darling?
character in
He's here?
itself, I
Oh,
think.
No,
yeah.
it came down a few days ago.
Absolutely.
Can we
before
talk a little bit
everything
more
went
about what it is? Like what,
out of it.
or how
It's
is it
not the bar mat.
concepted?
He was ranting
And
about
is there any
vulnerabilities and
tidbits
how
you
he
can give me
only
that people
had
should be
one
really excited to
large-scale
see?
HRA, but that he needed it somewhere else.
The oldest house
Still,
is a place of
at least he
power.
gave us these personal HRAs
It is
before
a
he left.
strange, infinite
Did I mention
building
that he was
that the
tearing his
Bureau
clothes
has
off?
set up shop in, basically. And
his was
it's our world director drew
I love
on
playing 20 questions as
brutalism
much as the next
to
guy, but we
design
have
the
got to
inside
get the
of
water
the
and
house. There's
electrical
very
system
sharp
repaired
lines,
before
very
we pay the
stark,
bills.
very Spartan
I'll have my guys
areas.
unlock the doors out of
That this bureaucratic
care of it.
organisation
You
is
stay and
trying
keep
to
the hiss away
study
from the plant if you
supernatural
can.
phenomena inside of.
Hiss?
And one of the
Calling him?
things that also
catchy.
speaks to Jessie's character
Listen, the
design as
radios
well
aren't
is
working,
because
so if you
she
find my boss
walks in
Salvador
off
out
the
there,
street,
could you
she's a
please
stark
ask him what the
contrast to
plan
that
is?
environment
I'm
as
sure
well.
he has one by now.
So yeah,
I'll
and
keep an eye
you
out
have
for
a
him.
good way of explaining the
Sure
oldest
has a lot
house
of
as
faith in
well
his butt.
Yeah.
Stay alive.
as a concept.
Right. I mean, it was important for us that because when you start playing the game, you basically within 10 minutes, you enter the building and realize something is
converter
wrong.
helped.
And within 10 minutes, you become the director of this organization that you barely knew
O, czyli
about.
mamy też jakiś system dialogów w grze, to dobrze wiedzieć.
So it was
course.
important for us
My
because
favorite
you're thrown
coffee
into this
break buddy.
strange,
Dude
weird
has got
experience
some
that there is
crazy stories.
a somewhat
He probably knows more than
physical,
anyone else.
relatable environment, this kind of a strange, retro, brutalistic environment that
should
is
be going.
Gotta lock down the
simple in a kind of a deceptive way, maybe, and having that sense of clarity and honesty in that environment was important because then we layer on top of that all these kind of a supernatural elements, his corrupting the place, warping the environment itself, or taking over these humans and transforming them in this creepy, unsettling way. And so it's the perfect setup for this. And of course, we have a very kind of physics-based gameplay. So it's just fun to destroy concrete and wood and glass and so on. And that's what brutalism is all about, that
And-
kind of honest materials and so on.
Yeah, the house itself shifts as well. So part of the gameplay is you cleanse and push his out of control points, which are sort of grounding points in the building. And so that the building then shifts back to normal and then allows you to progress. So the building itself opens up over time as you find more of these control
Czyli
points.
co, czyżby też jakieś lekkie elementy Metroidvanii możliwe?
The game really opens up, so then you can go to different places in the oldest house, like other sectors that we have. We've shown the research sector before in other demos.
Kto obsługuje to audio? Audio z gry jest za głośno, nie słychać ludzi, którzy mówią.
Ended, so you can return to places that you've been before and have story moments with characters where you ask them more questions about the oldest house. But also, it's not complete. As you get abilities like levitate, for example, you can access higher areas. So you might have been through a space before, but now you can get to other places.
A
So
Metroidvania, I see.
Metroidvania style, exactly. Yeah.
Awesome. Everyone loves hearing that. Like more Metroidvania.
More Metroidvania.
I znowu, to jest też motyw popularny w tym roku na E3, Metroidvania właśnie.
Yeah, like look at
The camera's pretty far back, making it look like she's really small. Was that an intentional design decision?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes we want to use scale to kind of like demonstrate how small you are as a human being sometimes in this environment. So there's this oppressive feels in certain environments. Another metaphor that I sometimes use about the oldest house is it's almost like a human body. So it can change and grow and do all kinds of things. And what has now happened is that it's almost like a disease that has infected and warped that.
Okay.
And what Jesse actually can do is cleanse aspects of the building and actually have a control point nearby. Let's see if someone manages to get through this combat so we get to see cleansing that will happen. as Jessie needs to defeat all the enemies first before she can do it.
Right.
And once she does that cleansing, it allows the building to kind of restore its former shape, basically. And cleansing is also a thing that Jessie can do to opposite power. We'll see if we kind of find some of this later on. But basically, that allows Jessie to bind these objects to herself. Here we see a
This game's
building
so
shift.
cool, you guys. This game is so cool.
Yeah.
It just looks awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Really proud of that. I mean, fantastic job, our VFX team.
Yeah,
Are
they're
honestly
incredible.
No, ta gra naprawdę, ta gra wygląda świetnie.
Obviously, we've just seen
Nie mogę się doczekać, aż to zagram, bo chyba zagram, actually zagram.
I'm really excited about that because it's very creative, and as we learn more and more, it seems like there are a lot of different abilities and different ways to approach environments. Would you say that's right?
Yes. So as you gain different abilities over time, you gain evade, which allows you to effectively dodge out the way. You get levitate, which allows you to float. You get shield, which you bring in objects in the environment around you, which allows you to get closer to enemies, and then you can upgrade those abilities to get extra perks, so to speak. So you could like throw your shield forward to deal damage. But
We need to fix this
have
thing ASAP.
balanced the way that you use abilities and gunplay as well. So because the service weapon is a shifting kind of weapon, you can have different weapon types.
Yeah.
And then you can choose then how you use your abilities to approach the enemies and which gun forms you use to do that.
Yeah. It was important for us that there's this feeling of growing strong as you go through this experience. Jessie learns a lot and she binds these objects to herself, learning new abilities, and she can find a number of materials from the environment, allowing her to unlock more different forms in her shape-shifting service weapon. And yes, there are modifications as well that you can find that allow you to be more kind of, they amplify your abilities, they amplify different aspects of the weapon itself.
Okay. I feel like I could talk to you guys about this game for like several hours more, and somehow I only have 2 minutes left, and I'm like, but don't make it stop. But that does mean we have another clip to show everyone who's here before we end the panel. So
we have one more video.
Yeah, what's that going to be?
That will be another conversation with Emily Pope.
Okay,
Yeah.
let's check that out.
Okej. Czyli jeszcze dostaniemy jakiś mały wycinek gry, dialog.
Screw it. Just tell her. I haven't been completely honest. I have a younger brother, Dylan. When we were kids, we found an old slide projector in Ordinary's landfill. The slides created doorways to other places. Bad things happened. Came through. That's all she gets. The rest stays locked inside. But we found help. Through one of the doorways, we met something. A being.
A being? What kind of being?
It's hard to describe, but she helped us. We managed to turn the projector off. The bad things that came through the doorways were gone. After that, your people came. Tried to grab us. I ran away. They got Dylan. I left him behind.
Bureau agents took your brother?
Yes. You covered it up. No one believed me. I just want to find Dylan. I've been looking for him ever since.
So much mystery.
Ej, w ogóle to mi się podoba ten motyw, że jakby wchodzimy tak trochę do jej głowy, w sensie na chwilę mamy jakby to, co ona jeszcze myśli, to zajebiste to jest.
Thank you guys.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Fajnie, naprawdę fajnie się gra zapowiada. Zdecydowanie bardziej się hypuję na nią po tym E3, bo gdzieś tam ją widziałem wcześniej, głównie się nią interesowałem ze względu na to, że będzie miał RT, Ray Tracing w czasie rzeczywistym, a okazuje się, że kurwa mać, tu będzie też dobre, mam nadzieję, story.
In my head.